Hello everyone and welcome back. Finally got to record the video with sound, and in this particular video we will be looking into our first WebDriver class, and we will try to automate a website. It's going to be very basic but extremely informative, especially for beginners. Okay, let's begin. We will go to my website, which is http qaexamples.com. Okay, let's launch Visual Studio, create new project. Has to be a class library. Let's call it first WebDriver test. Click OK. We can rename class 1 into WebDriver test. Yes, rename. And as we saw in previous videos, we need to add references to NUnit and WebDriver. So we right-click the references, click Add References. I already have them selected here. If you don't, you just need to browse and find a folder with NUnit and WebDriver. Select all the DLLs. So in NUnit folder it will be NUnit framework DLL. In WebDriver you see 4 of them, at least in the version that I have. It's WebDriver, ThoughtWork, Selenium Core, Selenium WebDriver packed Selenium DLL, and WebDriver support DLL. So I just select all of them and add them to references, and you see they appeared here. The next step is to input all of the using statements. Alright, let's start with NUnit. Okay, we got NUnit framework. Next, using OpenQA, .selenium. Now, OpenQA Selenium Firefox. And finally, OpenQA Selenium Support UI. Okay, now let's start writing our program here. We will begin by adding test fixture here. And what test fixture means is that this class contains test code, and the class itself has to be public. Okay, now let's add 3 areas that we will fill in later. There are 3 methods, test methods, so to speak. The first one is setup. Second one is test. And the third one is tear down. What these methods are is the first one, the setup. The code in this method will run before each and every test. Teardown will run, the code in this method will run after each and every test. And test is basically a test method. For now we will just have one, but in your regular career, in later projects we will have numerous. See, test methods also must return void and take no parameters. So let's begin with setup. Public void, as I just mentioned. Setup. Now public void test case 01. And lastly, public void tear down. Alright, let's save our work. Okay, at the beginning of our class, at the beginning of our test fixture, let's add two variables. First one will be of type string, public string base URL, and as you can probably guess, later we will put a URL of our test page, the one that we will be testing. And the second one, and the most important here, is the one of type WebDriver. Public WebDriver, and we'll call it driver, which is industry accepted name for WebDriver. Everyone will understand it, and this will make it very easy for others to read your code. Okay, let's go to our setup method and begin there. Okay, let's initialize base URL variable. So this will be our test page, test site. HTTP www. Typos all around. QAexamples.com. Now initialize driver variable. This will be a new Firefox driver. Okay, let's add this, and this creates a new instance of Firefox driver. Next, we will do driver dot manage that window, maximize, and what will this do is when the browser window opens, it will maximize the window. So most of the time, depending on what your defaults are, it will open not in maximized window. And lastly, driver that navigate that go to URL, and we will go to our base URL. Let's save our work. Let's look through it just to make sure we understood everything. So we initialized base URL, implemented new instance of Firefox driver, maximized Firefox window, and we navigated to base URL, which is now set to this. Alright, and let's do teardown right away as well, since it's probably the easiest, at least for our test example. There's only one line of code. Driver, keep switching language. Driver dot quit, and this will destroy the instance of the driver and close the window, the browser window. Right? Save, and let's compile this build solution. Build started, build succeeded. Perfect. Now let's get to the test itself. Actually, before writing code for the test itself, let's try to run this in NUnit GUI. So let's go to File, Open Project. Project, I have first WebDriver test, then debug. First WebDriver test.dll. Open that. You see test case 1, so we only have one test. Let's see what's going to happen when we'll run it. So web browser, Firefox opened, we went to this website, and window closed. Test case passed. The code was executed the way that we expected. Again, we went to this URL. We opened Firefox window, we maximized it, we went to URL, and then we closed it. Test case passed because there was no code, so it will always pass. Okay, let's add some complexity to it and functionality as well, of course. What we're going to do is, once we go to this website, we will use the search functionality of the website. I will be using Firebug. Highly recommend doing that. Installing Firebug and Firepath. Firebug helps you with quite a few things: HTML, CSS script. You can look at many things. Look at cookies as well. On top of that, I installed Fire Storage Plus, which helps with managing local session and storage session. Firepath is great determining XPath and CSS, specifically, at least for me. So there are quite a few different ways